pleasure to have him here. And this time around, we're going to be talking about once again the BOSASA corruption case has been hit by another postponement. What on earth is going on? And is this some sort of a tactic that is being played out just to delay this case and eventually get it dropped? I don't know. What are your thoughts? A very good morning to you, Sandile Swana, on this issue regarding the BOSASA corruption postponement yet once again.
Yes, I can understand if the citizens and residents of South Africa are frustrated by this case. You'll remember that this case has been pending since 2009, actually.
Mhm.
And perhaps in its current form, at least since 2020. And it was prominent in the Zondo Commission. Now, what has happened before this, what we see today, is that the defense attorneys of Agrizi and the company went along and said there's been a lot of delays and they are applying to the court basically to check whether this case must not be dismissed altogether because it has been delayed. They pursued that and at the last minute dropped it. In the meantime, Agrizi has been claiming all along that he is sick, he's not well, and he cannot attend court. And now the state on its side has launched its own case to say, can we then get an objective assessment of whether Agrizi is fit enough to stand trial? On the side of the state, I cannot find something to criticize or to blame. But we know the criminal defense strategy, which is called the Stalingrad approach, where the accused person delays the case and throws everything on the way of prosecution and the court date as much as possible. So from my perspective, yes, there is a desire on the part of the accused, which is Agrizi, Gillingham and MT, to delay the case to the point that it collapses somehow, not on the part of the state.
Okay, fine. So the Stalingrad approach was also used by Zuma. Correct me if I'm wrong. Was it not? Right. So, and it seems to be successful, does it not? That's point number one. Point number two, what did the state's physicians find regarding Agrizi's supposed illness, that he's so ill that he can't, that he can't appear in court? So two issues. Zuma having used the Stalingrad approach, and is Agrizi truly that ill that he can't appear before the courts?
Interesting that you bring Jacob Zuma's strategies as well, because even this one of illness, Zuma has also thrown it into the courts, his own health. When he's talking to his supporters, he's as fit as a fiddle. When he's talking to the court and the police, is sick. Now, Agrizi, I look at it from the point of view that the sickness of Agrizi, obviously, if you see a picture of Agrizi, a photograph of Agrizi, he might have one disease or the other, high blood pressure or something, just by observing him. But I don't think he's sick enough not to attend trial. If you looked at how robust he was during the Zondo Commission, but once he was charged and things were getting serious against him, he started having all sorts of urgent illnesses that came up. So from my point of view, just as a political analyst this time, not a doctor, I would say that Agrizi is sick because it's part of his defense strategy. But if he were to be subjected to independent scientific and medical analysis, they would find that Agrizi is as fit as a fiddle.
And certainly,
the Stalingrad approach does work because right now the trial has not started. And it's all kinds of what you and I might call frivolous complaints and excuses on the side of the accused that have delayed this trial from getting started. And you do that when you know that you don't have a viable defense against accusations. So Agrizi probably, in all likelihood, has got no viable defense that he can mount against the charges against himself.
Sandile, I know that you are a political analyst and a very good one at that. I absolutely love picking your brain on these issues. I know you're not an economist, But at the top of your head, what would you say that this is costing both sides, the defense and the prosecution, seeing that this started way back in 2009? So, with this case being postponed every time because Agrisi can't attend, supposedly due to ill health or any other technicalities that his defense comes up with, what is it costing taxpayers and Agrisi himself? Actually, that's
Look,
all.
what
That is
typically, yeah, I
that
understand
is
your
all
question.
of our money. That's all. Even if, whatever he's paying is still money that is stolen from us as taxpayers.
Yeah, so what these guys will typically do is that they will have at least three lawyers each. So he'll have a senior counsel, a senior advocate, a junior advocate, his lawyer probably assisted by some. Let's say if one guy has got four lawyers defending him in court. Um, so one fellow, just if there are three of them, that could easily go down to 12 lawyers of some kind at 50,000 rands, more or less
Oh,
50,000 rands a day, and what have you, and what have you. So, so if you say it could be per time that they go to court, you're probably talking 600 to 1,000,000 rands per time, just per time to go and get a postponement or something. This is the type of thing that is going on. It's actually very, very expensive, excluding the team of prosecutors that has got to work on this case, who are just as qualified and as senior as their opponents, who are the defense attorneys. So this thing, you'll probably find that it's 1,000,000 a day that they are spending in trying to run this thing.
can you imagine what that kind of money could do for the economy of the country regarding putting food on the table, creating employment, upping the health service, looking at our education structure? It is an absolute crying shame when you look at such wastage. And also the fact that this is a corruption case pegged at 1.8 billion rands. It was now postponed and set to resume in October, which is 2, 3 months away. In the meantime, are there further costs that are incurred? That's number one. And number two, obviously there must be, because the lawyers are working hard behind the scenes preparing for the case or the ongoing case. Um, Chances that this will then get thrown out because of all of these ongoing postponements?
No, I think generally we passed that point now. The offensive now is in the hands of the state. Remember that the postponement revolves around the state, the prosecutors themselves, asking the court to say, can an independent investigation be done on Agrisi's health? I think that's a clever move on the part of the state, because then whatever cover that Agrisi had, it will be blown by this at some medical and scientific investigation of his health. So that will help the court and Agrisi himself to stand up and go to court. So to me, where we are now, let alone that it has taken us a long time to get to where we are at a good place now.
Okay, that's good news. Let's hope that it does, in fact, pan out that way. I'm going to digress here because I have you online. Let's just unpack one or two other issues. That brings to mind the Busisiwe Mkobani case as well. I understand that it's going to be costing taxpayers a whopping amount of, and it runs into the million rands, into millions and millions of rands. What are your thoughts? Her case being postponed as well, and just the fact that her case goes to court.
I agree with you. I have questioned this thing from the start, because if the public protector launches an investigation about you and makes a finding against you, anyone, whether you're the state president, no matter who you are, there is a review process that goes to court, and the courts then decide whether to uphold those findings and those instructions, if you like, that come from the public protector. So, which means the Office of the Public Protector has got self-regulation through the courts, independent regulation, not let me not say self-regulation, independent regulation through the court on a case-by-case basis. So, to then launch this type of inquiry towards the end of term of the public protector, I think was unwise and uncalled for and perhaps vindictive, because some of these politicians who are behind this are also having their own cases that remain questionable, at least from the point of view of us as the public. And remember that she's not there to protect the politicians. She's there to say, a layperson like you and me, when we look at the behavior of a particular politician, are we satisfied or not that it is honest or dishonest? And that is what she's looking at. And in that case, she may she may make mistakes and what have you, but she's pursuing the suspicions that you and I have. So I think that the entire inquiry is actually an unfortunate development, because it seeks to intimidate the people who hold office, those independent public institutions which are supposed to protect you and me as ordinary citizens. They now, politicians are having a platform where they can go and intimidate the public protector.
However, she has been touted as being in Zuma's camp. She's also been said to kind of pick and choose the cases she wanted to be investigated and taken to court. Do you think that at this very almost last stage of her political career, or her time in office, she's taking a swipe and she wants to try and cause as much damage as she possibly can to Cyril Ramaphosa and his faction?
Uh, well, if we were to target Cyril Ramaphosa, I think Cyril Ramaphosa has done enough damage to his own career himself. The Phala Phala scandal, Mkhwebane did not send him to go and put any money into sofas and anything like that. She did not send him to go and participate in the Marikana massacre and so on. At the same time, the public protector was overwhelmingly supported and elected by the EFF, the opposition parties, and the ANC. All of them were very happy. They followed due process and pronounced that they like her amongst many candidates that were there. Her background in the intelligence and security cluster of government was well known, etc. A lot of things about her were well known. Now, we must distinguish as well between what you might call an ideological stance. For instance, a person like me, I may be a liberal in my ideological stance, but that does not mean I'm a supporter of Helen Zille, although we come from the same political ideology. So my view of Mkhwebane is that, unfortunately, which is a weakness on her part, she tends to be very ideological in how she approaches questions. And that can expose her to accusations of being biased. As to whether she's an outright puppet of Jacob Zuma and so on, the courts themselves would have needed to have pronounced on that. I don't know if there is a judgment in the many cases that went to court where it was pronounced that in fact she's a puppet of the RET faction or a puppet of Jacob Zuma himself. I'm not aware of a record like that.
Okay, and that's where we leave it. Always a pleasure talking with you. Till the next time, go well. God bless.
Thank you so much, Julie. Bye.
That was a political analyst talking to us about, obviously, the BOSASA case being once again postponed to October. Sandile Swana, political analyst. Always a pleasure having him on the show. 9:47 a.m. exactly, news and views. Right here on Salam Media. We will be linking up with our final interview for the morning with author Songeso Zibi about the book, and it is a new vision for South Africa by Songeso Zibi. And we'll hear all about it in a minute or two. So do stay with us.